Hey guys, it's Katie at scrappinkaty.ctmh.com, and it is time to play along with the She's Crafty mini paper pad class. So we have taken mini paper pads from our stash, or in my case, I had to purchase some, and then we are going to put these kits together based on a sketch each week. So this week I'm working with some Christmas paper, and it came from a pad that I got from Michael's on sale after Christmas. And then here's a look at the sketch, and I have just rotated that sketch to fit my photo. So the two background pieces that I'm using are kind of a muted gray, and then of course you've got these pattern papers from the mini pad that have gray, red. You can even see that red piece that's already down on my layout base. It's got some foil to it, and then this white piece also has some foiling to it. So bright, of course. I am kind of tired of Christmas colors at the moment, but I really wanted to document this coffee that I got from our HEB. Now, if you are not familiar with HEB, it is a grocery store predominantly here in Texas, and it's wonderful. It has its own, I guess, brand of items that are pretty good as far as store brands go. And then this coffee, I usually love the peppermint mocha creamer, but this year I'm trying to stay away from sugary stuff. And so I have a coworker who found this stuff at HEB, and so I tried it because I'm drinking my coffee black, which during the week at work, I don't mind drinking my coffee black, but on the weekends, I like to splurge and then have that super sweet creamer. So I found this coffee by way of my coworker, and I just ended up really, really liking it. There are two flavors that I got. I think there's a total of 4 or 5 that they actually offer. But so those are the coffees just stacked on top of each other, and I thought that it would be perfect for this layout. So I do want some green in here. So I pulled out another one of those paper pads, and I found me, it's kind of like an olive color. I have found it to go on this layout. And if you see those little pennants on the sketch at the bottom left, that's what I'm going to be using this green paper for. So if you are a follower, you know that I usually like to just kind of lay everything out on my layout, get everything where it's supposed to be before I glue it down. So right here is where I've kind of decided, okay, this is the main layout I want to do. So I am going to cut off all the pieces that you will not see because I just love to save paper. Hence all these kits that I've made with the paper pads. And believe it or not, I don't know about paper pads. So I didn't even know that you get multiple sheets in the same pad. So you would think that I could just leave those pieces of paper whole, and then I still have 2 or 3 more sheets of that same pattern. But no, I've cut everything down. The cut part will be hidden by my photo mat, and then I'm going to start laying down these pennants. Now, pull out my T-ruler. I don't know if you can see, but that base page kind of has a cattywampus. I don't know what to call it. But it has 2 shades of gray, and one is kind of askew on there. And it just really messes with my eye when I'm going to line things up because it has a pattern to it, but of course that pattern isn't straight. So I'm pulling out my T-ruler for almost everything to make sure it gets lined up. So I want something at the bottom left of this photo. So I've done those little pennants, and then I definitely want to kind of separate that gray. So I've got the fa la 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 at the top right, and then that little, it's almost like a hard clay piece that says, "So happy." And then I'm cutting words from that white foil piece to kind of put down in that bottom right to bring some of that foil to that bottom. So right here, I'm wanting to separate those pennants and make them a little bit longer. So I've cut those apart. And those pennants actually come from that paper pad too. And then I'm going to cut one of the silver ones and put it up at the top right with that little mitten. And then I want something at the bottom left. So this is that foil paper that's at the top. And so I've just cut a strip of hearts and then cut out 7, and I've put those at the bottom left. So here is what I love about laying everything out on my project is here is where everything just immediately gets glued down. So in a matter of really seconds, because I've sped it up, but in a matter of seconds, everything just comes to life and the layout really finishes up pretty quickly. So for this little piece at the bottom left, that's part of my title, "'Tis the Season to be Jolly," I just feel it needs to be backed with something. So again, I'm going to go to the paper pack that I got it from. I'm really not happy with any of those patterns. So I am going to find another book that just kind of has a muted gray. It's not the same gray, it's a little bit darker. And so I'm just going to mat that on one of those pieces of paper and then glue that down. Now, I have used 3D foam tape for that little sentiment piece as well as my photo. And I left all that white space on my photo so I can journal. So like you see here, everything just gets glued down, and I just love how quickly a layout can be finished. Now, I'm going to glue these down, but then I decide that there is an element on the layout that I really want to bring in. And it makes all the difference in the world. You'll see if you look at my layout now and then you look at it here in a second, you'll just see what a difference it makes. So from my kit, I pulled some old embellishments from close to my heart. And so I've just added some of that bling there. And here is where I am going to add, I don't know if you can see the circle part to that sketch. So I just have my 3D foam tape and I'm just going to rough a pencil mark all the way around. And then take my paper piercer and then just punch holes. I'm going to try to keep it every 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to hand stitch on my layout for that circle element on the sketch. So I'm going to pull out some silver thread from my stash and then just double that up in my needle. And then I like to tape it to the back with washi tape. You need to make sure you have a strong washi tape. And then I'm just going to do a back stitch. So you go to the hole before and then go back to the hole you just went through, if that makes sense. So I really wish that I could stitch this fast. This actually took the longest, and that's why sometimes I prefer machine stitching. But I really like the look of this circle, and there you can see the circle. And then it just kind of looked too plain. So that circle on the sketch has, kind of like 3 layers to it. So I'm just taking a journaling pen. Now this is a gray journaling pen to kind of fit in with the rest of the elements on the layout. And I am just hand drawing a circle all the way around. Now there are some spots where I just kind of really went off key. And so I'm going to draw some heartstrings there here in just a second. So I decided to bring in some red stickles, and so I'm just going to place those around those sparkles and then around the circle, and then just kind of keep it in groupings of 3s. So here's where I am drawing the heartstrings. So you just draw 2 loops and then kind of squiggle the tails of the ribbon out. So for my journaling lines, I had a hard time because of all the embellishments that I had already put on my layout. I had a hard time with my ruler actually being able to go down. So I'm just grabbing one of my acrylic blocks, and I love it because I can actually see, and you can see me here checking the placement of my acrylic block. And that really came in clutch at the last minute. So here is a close-up of the layout, and then a close-up of that stitching, and then my hand-drawn lines, and then, of course, those heartstrings. Don't forget to check out all the links down below for the people playing along. And if you liked what you saw, I would love for you to leave me a comment.